Thanks so much for joining me today here on the Joan Jerkovich Show on News Radio 1150 KSAL. I'm going to be having some very interesting callers coming up, but one of my first callers is going to be talking about something that many people are familiar with or have at least struggled with, and that is overcoming the fear of failure. Now, what this is it's facing your fears so that you can move forward in life. Maybe you feel so afraid of failing at something that you're just kind of stymied and stuck and subconsciously can't even get yourself to take that next step. Or sometimes, maybe not even knowing this about yourself, you undermine your own efforts so that you can't succeed because there's a comfort zone that you fall into by not succeeding and kind of staying where you're at. Yet, if you have this fear of failure and you sort of recognize it, it's going to kind of nag at you until you come to the point of saying, okay, maybe it's time to address it, even if you recognize it and can name it, such as, yes, I have a fear of failure. I have a fear of success. What do you do about it? Well, I've taken some information from an article in mindtools.com. What are the causes of this fear of failure? Many causes can cause this, but one of the most common would be that you grew up in possibly a critical or unsupportive family where your parents or your caretakers were always undermining you. Hence, you're going to undermine yourself now that you're an adult trying to do something bigger than yourself moving forward. Another thing that can lead to this fear of failure is you experience a traumatic event at some point in your life. Let's say, for example, you had to get up and stand in front of the class and you just made a complete failure of it. So you know you bombed, you know you did terrible. So now you feel like you can't ever do this again. You can't ever stand up and make a presentation. And that could be something that's necessary to your moving forward. You're going to have to learn how to face these fears. Let's pull ourselves out of denial and really look at what the signs are that you might be experiencing this fear of failure and it's keeping you stuck in your tracks. One can be that you have a reluctance to try anything new or get involved in anything that's what you might deem more challenging. Let's just say out of your comfort zone. Another one would be that self-sabotage we talked about, such as procrastination, or you find yourself feeling excessively anxious when you try something new. Another one is that low self-esteem or low self-confidence. Those would be those negative statements you tell yourself all the time, such as, I'm never going to be good enough at anything. I'm not smart enough to make this happen or have this success in my life. But when you think about failure, let's put this into perspective. Do you seriously think that you're going to go through life without experiencing some kind of failure, some kind of a setback? If you think that, you're going to be stuck on the couch doing nothing forever. You're never going to really step out and live. How we look at failure is a matter of perspective. Since we now know we are all going to have failures, you can look at it as either proof that you are inadequate or ineffective or incapable of succeeding, or you can look at it as a learning experience, because every time you fail at something, you're going to learn something, you're going to grow, and you're going to keep from making that same mistake again. Building on failure, building on mistakes is one way towards success. Believe me, I've made so many mistakes, I can't begin to tell you how many I've had to pull myself up from. The silver lining in failure is that it can teach you things about yourself you might have never learned otherwise. It can help you discover the resilience that you have and the strength that you have to keep going on. It can give you those valuable insights so long as you're willing to really take a look at that, to see the positive and not just the negative in a failing situation. So stay tuned for my caller, and then coming up at the end of the show, I'm going to talk to you some more about how to overcome the fear of failure. There are some methods you might use that you'll find helpful. Those are coming up here on the Joan Jerkovich Show on News Radio 1150 KSAL.